UNICEF has previously partnered with CABRI. In your opinion, what is CABRI's value add beyond the PDIA approach, and what synergies do you see between UNICEF and CABRI?
CABRI's value add is very clear. It's about enabling governments to build their PFM systems and ultimately to help a lot of governments be able to escape the poverty trap, which is in part driven by the lack of PFM capacity. For UNICEF, we are in the business of building human capital. And if we just look at our funding in general, on average across sub-Saharan Africa, our funding is equivalent to 0.1% of national budgets, which means that if we're not using our resources to leverage national budgets, then we have no hope of making any meaningful change for kids or human capital across the continent. Our approach, obviously, is to engage social sector ministries, and therefore it's a perfect complementarity to CABRI, whose focus is on ministries of finance. So lots of wonderful synergies between our organizations.
The Building Public Finance Capabilities program is CABRI's flagship program. How does it tie into UNICEF Asaro's mission and vision?
I would highlight 2 points. First, beyond UNICEF, obviously, this program will make very important contributions to helping governments identify and remove different PFM challenges. And ultimately, that will directly contribute to improved social service delivery. But there's also very important benefits for UNICEF internally. As we've gotten more engaged in the public finance space in recent years, we've done a lot of analytics, we've helped support a lot of PFM reforms, but it's all been very ad hoc, and just being honest, a lot of this has been pushed by UNICEF, which is in contradiction to the PDIA approach. So I'm really hoping that this experience will help transform how UNICEF approaches PFM so that we are much more enabling and that we can integrate the coaching attitude perspective into our standard way of engaging governments.
What are some other challenges at the intersection of public finance and service delivery, and how can the PDIA approach and the BPFC program address these in ways that traditional approaches have not?
The challenges are very clear. First and foremost, there is just a tremendous lack of funding going to most social sectors. A second major challenge is just looking at the allocation of national resources, and we know that social sectors tend to be very low government priorities in general. Another major challenge is the design of social sector budgets, and if we look at just the education sector as an example, you can see a major imbalance between what governments are investing in tertiary education, which tends to absorb about 30% of resources, versus areas like pre-primary education, which get almost nothing. And so we can see just adjusting the priorities within sectors also can deliver a lot of major efficiency gains. Another big challenge is budget implementation, and we know that the amounts of resources that are approved at the start of the fiscal year tend to deviate quite significantly to the amount of resources that are dispersed to ministries and ultimately spent. So a lot of challenges around budget implementation. For UNICEF, the beauty of the Building Public Finance Capabilities program is that we're empowering both finance ministries and social sector ministries to really pinpoint specific public finance challenges and to move forward corrective actions. And so as we've heard during the discussions this week, Malawi and Zambia are trying to address funding gaps by understanding what are the local resource generation constraints. Somalia and Zimbabwe are unpacking different budget credibility challenges within the health and education sectors. So it's a journey where ministries have selected the destination. They drive the momentum. They will have rest stops to reflect, to analyze, and adjust course to get to where they want to eventually go.
How do you envision the future of the partnership between our two organizations?
For UNICEF, this is very much an experiment. It's a big experiment. We have 5 country teams. We have 5 UNICEF coaches on the ground working with 5 or 6 government officials, which form the local teams. CABRI's providing the tools, the training, advice along the way. But what we're hoping is that, of course, this will lead to a very positive impact on PFM systems. That when we get to early 2024, in 1 year, local authorities in Malawi and Zambia are generating more funding for social services, that the approved health and education budgets in Somalia and Zimbabwe are fully dispersed and they're spent fully as intended, and that program-based budgeting in Mozambique is helping to better align resource allocation to their priorities. As mentioned earlier, we're also hoping to catalyze a lot of internal shifts within UNICEF, just in the way that we approach PFM and trying to transform the way that we engage with ministries of finance and finance departments across social sector ministries. So if this is a success, our dream is that we're able to expand this partnership across the other 16 countries in Eastern and Southern Africa, and that hopefully looking towards a year or two, we could also expand this to Western and Central Africa so that the Building Public Finance Capabilities program becomes a permanent partnership between UNICEF and CABRI across sub-Saharan Africa.